Welcome back to day 2 of Heroes Cards 4. Preparing here with Frodown on the casting desk, the virtual casting desk. We're going to see some pretty good matches today. We had all the players qualify. It's a single elimination to the semifinal, which we're going to get started here very shortly. The first match we're going to see tonight is going to be Pini versus ThijsNL. Then we're going to see Hosty versus Faramir, and the winners of each of those matches that are going to play in the grand final, which is going to be a best of 7, and I believe we're going to do a +1 in the decks. What do you think of the tournament so far, Fred? Any surprises for you?
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. I think Pini and Faramir are two of the upsets, so to speak. But I think it's great because guys like Forsen and Colento and all these other guys who've been well established, it's another tournament for them versus this for these guys. It's their opportunity. They don't really get invites very often, so they need to prove it. So we have a couple of guys who can legitimize them. You know, Tice and Hosty are more well-established players.
Mm-hmm.
But then Pini and Faramir, I'm looking for them to also make some moves here.
Yeah. Also, in terms of the prize pool, first place is going away with 1250. Second place is 750. Third and fourth, 500 apiece. It's a tournament sponsored by Hitbox. Shout out to them. And just because it is pretty short tournament, single elimination, 6 players. Basically, if you just win your first match here, you just won $500. Everyone who we're going to see play today is already in the money, basically. But you're absolutely right. Like for a lot of the up and coming players, you really gotta put your name out there. You gotta hit up the win. That counts much more than a little bit more moolah.
Yeah, for sure. And for some of these guys too, even just getting $500, or if they win the semifinals, they're guaranteed $750. For them, it's like a big deal because that's their primary source of income. They're not making big money off their contracts or getting like those big viewership numbers. So in a lot of ways, this is also their sustenance. That's where you can definitely see some of the desperation in these guys because they're trying to transition to a more full-time Hearthstone focused career. But for now, a lot of them are just part-timing it because they really like it. And that's where this is a cool opportunity. And that's why ultimately we're going to see some really good action, I think, today. I believe the classes are about to be put on screen here. What do we have, Crip?
We have exactly the same from both players in terms of lineups and bans. So both players are playing Druid, both players are playing Mage, Warlock, and Warrior, and they also both banned each other's Warlock. Now the thing with Warlock is, in prior tournaments, I've seen it where in the first set of matches, just Warlock gets banned because of the unknown factor. You don't know if they're playing Handlock or Zoolock. And sometimes the bans are a little bit more experimental, like what we saw with Forsen. And with that, when you get the information, you can choose whether you want to ban something besides Warlock, basically. But because the Warlock bans were so dominant, I believe 7 out of our 8 players banned Warlock in their opening match yesterday. That the unknown is still there, and it's kind of hard to break that. I mean, everyone that won today is playing Warlock, and everyone that won today had their Warlock banned in the first match. So you still had no idea. So I'd be really surprised if anyone lets the Warlock slide through.
Yeah, I'll be surprised too. People are innovating a lot, and I think every day that GVG passes in terms of being released, people are getting closer to making Warlock even scarier. I've been seeing more and more Demon Locks refine their deck, so it's not that it's going to be a factor at all in this tournament, but Warlock is definitely one of the scariest, if not the scariest class currently in Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the Warrior deck. The Warrior deck's, it's pretty much tested and true. A few additions, but not too much. That's doing pretty well. But also, one very popular among the players is the Pally deck, and it is basically what we saw last night. With you get a lot of early game cards, and you have the big cards in there with them. So basically, the Paladin Hero Power just carries you in the mid game along with some Muster for Battle Quartermaster combos, and then you have the big hitters of the Tyrion and a couple of legendaries they decide to put in. So that type of deck seems to be pretty popular right now as well. And for what we saw yesterday, it seems pretty scary itself. I don't know who's gonna win out the deck wars here, but you going with Warlock?
Yeah, I mean that just has to be the class that you ban with. But I mean, starting off Druid versus Mage seems to be
Mhm.
pretty safe on both sides. Druid is still just very middle of the road. Can beat anything, can lose to anything. It's not necessarily favored against many classes, including this
Yeah.
Mage. If it gets off to a very quick start, it's for the very same reasons against Zoo, right? It just has a hard time clearing a lot of mid-health creatures that just swarm the board.
If you really look at the matchups, because both players are running the same classes and probably very close to the same decks, the only matchup you want to avoid is your warrior against your opponent's druid. So if
Mm-hmm.
you avoid that, the rest is pretty much just fine.
Sure, sure. All right, and this is very reminiscent of Strife Crow's Mage again for anybody who's tuning in today and not yesterday, or didn't even or catching this off the VODs even, where it seems to be more board centric and trying to get a snowball. But I've seen a few matches, even going on in like today's Deck Wars, for example, where if it just falls flat if you completely deal with its aggression early on, because you're going to usually
Yeah.
outcard the Mage, and then they have spare parts to try to back it up, but that usually becomes a stall mechanic and nothing else.
I'm a fan of the Echo, man.
That
Pump
go
up the
Medivh.
board, you echo it all, and I mean it's just like drawing four to six cards, not even from your deck.
Yeah, it's pretty useful, and I'm surprised no one's even tried it. You know, have a lot of or training grounds opportunities, like whether it's small show matches or different
Mhm.
opportunities, but no one's really even tried Echo Medivh. Pini's gonna try to see if he can snipe this with Goblin Blast Mage. What are the
50-50.
odds? Is it just 50-50?
Yep. Oh, not quite.
No.
It's a pretty big deal too. I mean, it's if you get that kill, if the blast mage cleans up the board, it's almost always a shutout. And because it didn't happen,
Yep.
Dice. I mean, he's not looking very good, but he's not out of this. He's gonna have quite a lot of turns until he's really under pressure.
Yeah, well, the good news is that he's not taking a lot of damage, and so even if he draws removal spells, there's usually like a threshold in which Mage just starts aiming the spells at the face. Still might,
Yeah.
but this is where Sludge Belcher, Drew the Claw coming down and Taunt, even the Farseer will be super clutch for Tice if he can
Actually,
last this long.
Farseer is a pretty interesting card. That's not one that's normally in the aggressive type of druid deck, is it?
Yeah, that's right. He's included it into his deck for about a couple months now, as just like one of his stylistic things. He thinks it's very good in the mirror, as well as just like very good against Hunter because you needed some kind of stabilization point besides just like Shade of Naxxramas early game.
Oh, I can see it being good in the mirror. I mean, you have your innervate play on two, and then you hit something, heal it up with the Farseer, and then it's just game over.
Right.
And I've seen in the mirrors like the druids just go crazy when they're approaching that 14 life, and just having another three might give you like another turn to be flexible with your plays. I can absolutely see how it would be very good.
Yeah, so it's a Tice flavored thing. You know, he did go for the Farseer over to being defensive with a taunt minion instead, and it seems like he's really trying to control the amount of minions on the board. I think because he
Maximize the
realizes the
value.
power of mix energy. Oh,
Were you
he's
expecting the
saving the
druid
coin for
claw there?
scenarios. Oh, yeah, I was expecting a coin out for a 5-drop.
Yeah, seems fine. Another thing to consider is he hasn't played something in a little while that really requires a fireball. So maybe that's the thinking there.
Oh, that is also true.
But that was a huge turn. The Mech Warper can really produce some ridiculous boards in a very short amount, a very short amount of time, and we saw just that. Like if you're a Thicer, you can't even clear. You pretty much have to taunt up.
Yeah, seems like it. And the Yeti can take out one of the minions, and you do have the scenarios for next turn to stall, and you need to stop taking damage as the highest priority here because you realize you're within spell range very soon.
Mhm. I think the play is to play the Druid of the Claw and to drop down the 3/4. You can basically leave the Mech Warper on the board. As you know, with one card in hand, the mage isn't going to see probably any efficiency off that card.
Yeah, best he gains. Like, I mean, the minions are pretty cheap anyways. Like they usually top out around 5 or 4. So you're making it cost 3, not a big deal. I completely agree. And the spider tank, very durable stats.
I'm surprised to see the Sludge Belcher come out. I guess he's planning on finishing off the Yeti with the Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah, it could be.
Right, it has to be. It's basically a commit play, I believe.
Yeah.
Now the Pilot Shredder is one of those cards where it's ridiculously good, but it always leaves some glimpse of hope for the other player with that Doomsayer. Like if Thijs gets really desperate here, if he's like, you know, there's no way I'm winning this game at this rate, then he's just gonna go for a kill on that.
The chances are not as low as you think, right? It's
Yeah, there's only like 62 drops, so it's like 1.5%.
Yep.
I mean, if you take, I mean, people don't play with these kind of cards, but you know, if if you roll Arena and you know, every time your 3 health 2-drop dies to a bomber, which seems to happen like once a week to me. I mean, that's around there. That's basically the same thing.
Right. No, I feel for you, and definitely the ugly side of Hearthstone sometimes when you're trying to go up against these Pilot Shredders. Well, I think following up on your play that you suggested, the Keeper of the Grove, and then you have an opportunity to also drop another 5 You have to be taunting up the Druid the Claw, and then you have Snares to follow it up, and hopefully you can stabilize at this point. He did use Frostbolt too, so he's empty-handed. Mage will just be top decking as well as the spare part to try and finish this game.
Why do you think he killed the 2/2 rather than the 4/2? I don't really understand that.
Yeah, you're just creating more opportunities for your opponent to do damage to you, right? Essentially. I am very perplexed about that too.
Yeah, it may have been like a misclick or something. I just don't see. Like the obvious reason would be to deny a spare part from the mage, I guess.
Suppose, but he's gonna crash into it anyways and get a spare part.
Yeah.
He gets 2 now. Okay, Whirling Blade and the Coolant. So he can freeze as well as give his minion a plus attack, right?
A little bit more damage there.
Well, he took 3 extra damage this turn. Because he could have taken away... He could have forced the Pilot Shredder and the Clockwork Gnome to attack into it. And then the Mech Warper would have been the one that survives.
Well, because he would have got the +1
right.
spare
so
part.
2 extra damage.
Well, he would have had the extra creature, actually. He wouldn't have to sack the Clockwork Gnome at all. Because the first spare part was the attack, right? Oh no, the first one was the freeze.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, there's some thinking there to deny that +1 attack or the swap.
Yeah,
I just don't know if I would have went with that. All right. Well, you don't have much life, but you can probably stabilize.
You can, and even. So you keep it the Grove, and you definitely want to silence this, right? Or are you gonna snipe it?
The issue is you can't kill the Chugga Chugga. You can't kill that with Scenarios because that drops him for 2 turns.
Force Nature is an option too. I guess you just do give up your combo. Hopefully you draw into the Ancient of Lore so you can heal. I guess that's gonna be a stabilization point. Oh, that's so troll. Oh my god.
That's really brutal. Yeah, you have to use the attack thing now.
How important is it to be armoring up every single turn too?
You basically have to. You're basically running out 8 mana every single turn.
not like Mage is going to be running on much more either.
Well played.
Whatever he
Yep.
draws is going to be pretty...
That's a pretty good draw. Oh, how about that? Yep.
Yeah. Well, he didn't need 10 mana to play that.
Nope. Yeah, nothing was stopping that, not even the Lotheb. Well, didn't quite work out for Thijs. I think the Druid versus Mage is pretty decent for the Druid. The way he played it, I think, is very fair in terms of, trying to just reduce the number of creatures on the board at all times, as you mentioned. But it didn't quite work out. A little bit of direct damage was just enough for the Mage to edge out there. So Pini does take game 1 in the semifinal, and Thijs is going to have to choose a deck to pin against Pini's Mage. Now, we know a little bit about their decks at this point. We've seen them each play, I think most of them play at least once, if I'm not mistaken. There were a lot of pretty long matchups yesterday. I don't think anyone got blown out, except, no.
Well, except Lothar.
Lothar got blown up by Paladin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Thijs, I think he was running a very similar type of mage himself, and I think the warrior was not much of a surprise except for the owls. And I think a warrior with owls against this deck would be pretty good.
Oh. Yeah. You might need to use an owl on that alarm clock.
It's not an alarm clock, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so I think we're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to see Thijs' decision on what he's going to run against Pini's Mage here. And my guess is he's going to even it up with Warrior. I don't think the Warrior is going to have too difficult of a matchup against the Mage, but who knows? It's new decks, a lot of new stuff, anything can happen. We'll see it happen soon. Welcome back, guys. About to get into match 2 here between Pini and Thijs in this semi-final match. Now, do you think there are many merits to not choose the warrior if you're Thijs here? Do you think you'd maybe run up with your own mage? Because I feel like the warrior is a very clear answer, but if you're the first one out with the warrior, you're the first one countered by the druid. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and then you have Mage against Druid, which hopefully you can take it. So I guess it's really confident whether or not you feel like your Mage can go up against the Warrior from Pini. That's pretty much the confidence issue here, if assuming you can go for it. I personally don't like mirrors, especially when it comes to very aggressive starts like this, because it's just as simple as one person gets the mana advantage with the mech warpers, and then you don't.
Yeah. Now, these types of mage mech decks that run the Fireball and the Frostbolt, they pretty much count on doing that damage at the start through creatures, because you kind of sacrifice creatures which do repetitive damage for those cards. And Warrior is a class that's just not really weak to that. It's very difficult to have a Warrior low at the same point as we saw in the last game against the Druid. Like around turn 8 or 9, you're not going to see the Warrior at 6 life. And of course with that hand, I'm going to eat my words pretty soon here.
Well, I mean, he does have Fiery War Axe, and he does have
Al
some
and the
good,
Whirlwind.
decent answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is really good for Tice already.
It's really good for both players, I'd say. I mean, you can't really say Pini didn't have a good opener. That's
Yeah,
as
that's
good as it
true.
gets, really.
Yeah, I guess if he had a Noyotron, he actually could stall for a while. But even so, then he still has the Iron Beak Owl. This is, like you said, a very good start. All right, Armor Smith, not even that bad of a draw at all, too. It contests the Clockwork Gnome very well. Maybe not much after that, but the fact remains, as long as you can stabilize and not take too much damage, you're in good
Still kill one thing, you still get something on the board, and you heal up a little bit. Why not?
Yeah. Absolutely. And, drawing that shield block also is pretty crucial, too, in the later stages of the game. Or even now. Yeah, because he doesn't have any other option here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the owl is just not good enough. That's the problem.
What would you even do with the owl? Size the Clockwork now?
Yeah. Well, the mage pressure is working. I think we're going to see another 50-50 Goblin Blast Mage here.
Okay. Ooh.
A very slow 50-50 that fails again.
Oh my god, the exact same sequence too. It's face, hit, face, face, every single time.
Yeah. Now, if you're Thijs here, you're actually in a little bit of trouble. Like, you can't really deal with this board very well.
Yeah.
And you have to, or else it's gonna get out of control pretty quick. The Blast Mage is just a strong card. Like even in this spot where it failed, it still succeeds at really scaring the warrior.
Challenges the Sludge Belcher really well. Not to mention, it's like you said, it's getting to that time around Fireball could definitely snowball the momentum of the game. So I think Lotheb is a much safer bet. But a Noyotron is actually a pretty significant draw too. Because how are you supposed to get past this really easily? You have to use your silence, but that's not what you want to use your silence on.
Seems fine. Alright, what can you do if not that? You can play the other Armor Smith.
Yeah, so if you silence and play second Armor Smith, go off the Spire Tank and gain 2 health there.
Yeah. I think you got out Armor Smith and Armor Up just to maximize your health.
Sure.
The rest is, I think, optional.
But double Armor Smith is rather annoying and problematic.
I don't really think suiciding the Armor Smith is really a good idea here. I think 1 damage can really come in handy.
Why do you also attack the Blast Mage? Is it to set up for Execute or a Whirlwind of some sort in the future? Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure about the attack target, but I think that play puts him out of Fireball Frostbolt range. I was just thinking.
Oh, for the turn. Gotcha.
Yeah. 29.
Would have been 17. He would have had. Yeah, it puts him like slightly more out of the range of that.
Yeah, he would have been. He would have had 1 health if there was Frostbolt and Fireball. That'd be at 3. I don't know. Things are not going well for Thijs right now.
Yeah, needs to stabilize.
Turns out he's actually having a little bit of a hard time in the Druid match, but he does have more defensive answers.
Interesting opportunity though. Like Whirlwind with Shield Maiden is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
And you get to keep Armor Smith too. That's like it's usually rare when you're trying to do all these trade scenarios and.
Well, the real question is, do you drop the Shield Maiden, take 1 damage on it to gain 1 armor on your hero?
I don't know. I don't want the Pilot Shredder to get an easy trade on it. I wouldn't feel very comfortable. I don't want to treat my maidens like that. Oh. Well, actually, Sergeant Butcher makes a lot of sense, too.
Yeah, I mean, it says at the taunt he gains less life this turn, but he didn't die last turn to direct damage. He's not going to die this turn to direct damage.
More effective life, actually, because of the second taunt.
Oh, hello.
Yikes.
Oh,
So there's...
Okay. Wow, no attack. There's a shield slam. That's a big card.
That's really clutch at the moment. Holy cow, that's actually such a big deal. Let's see what he gets off the Pilot Shredder.
Oh, you don't want to see that. More mechs.
All according to plan.
I can take the hit.
Apparently.
Well, I don't know how much impact that Mech Warper will have. There's actually no mech minions inside of Pini's hand. And Thijs has stabilized pretty well.
Yeah. Got to reverse the switch here. You might actually want to use this on your Sludge Belcher, because it would gain it some extra armor.
Yeah, it chooses not to. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess because it only gains a few health points versus you might be able to use it.
Yeah, but it gains a few health points to where it wouldn't necessarily just die. Board.
True.
Now the warrior has so much armor that, you know, this removal in your hand that you really want to finish off the warrior with. Well, apparently you still want to do that. Never mind. Thinking about hitting up some creatures.
Yeah, well, it feels like that's the only thing he can do. If you invest a Fireball, not only are you giving your opponent life, but he is able to challenge your board even post Fireball Frostbolt. So, yeah, it doesn't feel very good, but I agree with this line of play from Pini.
I think here you want to save your Armor Smith for the Death Bite. I think you'd attack with a 5.
Yeah. I mean, the longer you keep this Armor Smith up, the more annoying, and the game becomes out of reach.
I think right now he's actually completely out of reach.
Yeah. Taking extra precautions. Well, what are you gonna do with all these spare parts?
Well, you make some adjustments to your Harvest Golem. You pimp him out here.
Put some nice spinners.
Yeah, it's not gonna work though.
Yeah, nice sound system.
Speaking of not working, how about that hand for Thijs? Whoa.
Yep, double Death's Bite.
And a spare part of his own.
Keeps drawing and gaining life. It's pretty much the exact 2-card combination that he wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, he can't actually kill Pini for like a couple more turns here. But
there's no way Pini can kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not even back-to-back Pyroblasts. Be able to save him here.
So Thijs has quite decisively won this match. I mean, the match is still going, but there's no way that he's going to actually lose. And I have to say, sure. I mean, I feel like I've been in Thijs' position several times when playing Hearthstone. It's just like the worst thing. Like, you don't want to surrender because there's that one chance that, you know, maybe he had like a deck that you didn't really anticipate that was just full of garbage, and now he's drawn the garbage, or maybe disconnects. You know, you gotta give it your all. But man, you're looking at a spare part against that board with that much armor on a warrior.
Well, you're looking at dying next turn too.
Yeah.
And Pini doesn't really matter what card he draws last. No Chugger. It's a great card, but not able to turn the tides there. We have ourselves a Tide series going into game number 3, but this is what we expected, right? Tides would be able to bring out the warrior.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the warrior would win more decisively. It's actually struggling pretty hard in the mid game there from the Blast Mage push with the mechs.
Yeah.
But he did recover, and in the end, it was you know, super one-sided. It's just now as the warrior, yeah, you got to win under your belt, but you know, this is the one matchup you really try to avoid, I think. I guess you do want to avoid the mage against the warrior too, but I feel like the druid is slightly more of a favorite against the warrior. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting triangle of classes here that both players brought to the table.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to do it for game number 2, guys. We're going to take just a quick second. When we come back, we're going to have game number 3 ready for you for Heroes of Cards 4 semifinals. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, guys. We're gonna see game 3 between Pini and Thijs here in a second. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see the druid. I mean, that's what seems to be the obvious choice. But did we see Pini's warrior in his match against RDU? I don't recall.
Yeah, I think we did see this. But at the same time, I think that it should be playing out pretty much the way we expected to. Druid versus Warrior, still very pressure oriented. It's all about can Warrior take the least amount of damage while being able to stabilize. Will Druid draw poorly? Like we had one game where I think Tice had like every single responsive card and nothing to like threaten.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the game, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it is possible for Druid just to fall flat on his face, just like any deck that can draw poorly. But that's partially why like Druid is so strong, because it usually doesn't have these consistency issues. Not with a hand like that. What? All right.
Turn 1 Yeti, turn 2 Wild Growth, turn 3 Wild Growth.
And you should be able to play whatever you draw in the next 2 turns based off that, because you'll have 6 mana.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 mana.
Or 5.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez, man. Well, it is a painful exchange, but thankfully, if Tice didn't have this Fiery War Axe, he'd actually just be taking way too much damage. Instead, he's just got to settle for 12.
Yeah, pretty decent settlement. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're in a courtroom right now.
Yeah, I guess you can take the house and 12 damage.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that I guess Tice sees that his opponent didn't have a 4-drop. That would have been just really bad to continue the pressure, but gives him a moment to breathe.
What now?
I think Tice is hesitating here, but it's pretty much just thinking about his next couple of turns.
There's not really much going up from Thijs here. That Yeti draw is pretty big.
Yeah.
I don't really like the Loatheb into nothing, but it's probably what's gonna happen if he didn't draw the Yeti.
Yeah. Well, he's got he's got an opportunity to fight back for the board here. And the Acolyte is one of those cards where it might draw some heat away. So like the Yeti is tempted to attack into it.
I think Yeti is going to go face or Acolyte. I mean, it's not going to go Lotheb at all.
Right, so then the question becomes, do you kill off the Acolyte to deny a draw, or do you go face because he's so low already?
Face. Have you seen Druid? You just face. Face, face, face.
Of course. How could I assume anything else? Double Shield Maiden actually is pretty nice too. You were able to gain this life, which is really important. If it's not this turn from Thijs, because it looks like he's hovering over his Armor Smith, then at least the next turn. Oh. You can actually clear the board. Very nice. That's the Armor Up Shield Slam from this point on. Good spot.
Yeah.
That's actually a really big deal. This Ancient of Lore is supposed to usually commit a lot of resources so that warrior can't stabilize on the board, but he has, and if... I guess Pini can deal with it.
I mean, there's ways to deal with it. I think I like the, like, he's got the swipe. I'm more a fan of the Druid Claw Hero Power. Like, yeah, 30 life. Here's take 5.
That's true. You're not really like afraid of the Armor Smith being kept alive at all. Like if you just drop Sludge Belcher and then you have. Well, I guess you have Black Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do both too. You can swipe and then innervate Druid Claw. What are you going to usually save innervate for? I guess usually it's like a power play with 2/5 minions at this stage of the game. All right, well, there's not many ways... Oh, I was going to say there's not many ways to play around the combo other than just dropping Shield Maiden. But he just drew an answer to the Lotheb.
I'm thinking if playing a Shield Maiden is just the play anyway. I mean, you have another one next turn.
True. It's more mana efficient.
You take 7, you'll be at 3. That's a little hard to stabilize. I think Dr. Boom is far too risky though. Like you saw Druid draw cards and he's on 9 mana. And you know what Druid deck this is, especially if you're Thijs.
Well, he's been on the giving end of it so many times, but I think the payoff for Dr. Boom is so high.
Wow.
No fear.
It is going to pay off. That's maybe not.
Oh, is it?
Charge mode. Time to go.
Yeah, definitely. It's so close. You don't have combo pieces, but you just put on enough pressure where it might not matter.
With that execute though, you should be able to clean up just as is.
Yeah. What's the sequencing though here?
I'm a decent fan of the Shield Maiden Shield Slam first on Lotheb. Right? That just gets it off the table, and then you sink Boombots into the 4/4, trying to ping off the 4/2.
Oh yeah, that's actually statistically very good to line it up that way. I suppose this outcome's the same if you Shield Slam the Druid Claw now. It's just because of the outcome. Oh man, this bomb. Alright. Snipes off the BGH, and Thijs has stabilized with 15 health, which is perfect.
And a creature on the board. That's also very important. And a Ragnaros in hand. You know, a lot of important factors at play here.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, what garbage.
Oh boy. Double Keeper the Grove.
Value though. That's a 1 for 0. You win if you're the Druid.
I suppose so. You just keep doing that every single time.
Yeah. Well, if you're Thijs here, You hate to lose board control, but you see that the Druid's on one card. That's really a big deal. Just makes combo so unlikely. So much so that he's not bothering to play around it again.
Right. Well, it's also problematic because it's very clear that Warrior is going to be able to pick off a couple draws with this Acolyte. But that just gets him closer to a stabilization point.
Although he's used a lot of the cards that give him armor.
Yep, that is true.
I think here I like the Brawl.
Yeah, there's a lot of minions. But do you
You
kill off the Pilot Shredder?
You kill the 4/3 first, see what comes out. Actually, no, you might want to attack first with the Acolyte, just in case you get like a. Well, is there a 3-attack taunt for 2 mana? Actually, not sure.
2 mana taunt.
Yeah, there are 2 mana taunts, but I think they all have 2-attack.
Well, I guess the new Druid card.
No, because the 3rd attack point is the Battle Cry, which you wouldn't get when it comes out of the Shredder.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So you can choose to attack the Shredder first here.
Mistress of Pain.
Yeah, that's one of those cards that if you're playing Priest, you may want to think twice about the Paladin Shredder.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw today the I wasn't streaming. I saw it on someone else.
Oh man, Mistress of Pain survives. It's so funny. Well, Druid doesn't really need to heal at this stage.
But I saw that card one-shot someone. He Caballed it and attacked. And then he went down from like 28-0. The 1 damage that it does heals the priest, but if you have Akanai in play, it deals the damage. So the damage that's being dealt is from the same card, and then the effect is essentially a loop. So you begin a 1 damage loop. Yeah. 1 damage, all to yourself. Real
so
painful.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, Thijs can take the initiative and try and be really aggressive, or he can be super defensive and try to play around combo. I guess this just comes down to preference and playstyle at this stage.
Nah, you got to be consistent here. He hasn't really cared about combo for a while now, and he's seeing the draws as they come into play. He probably thinks that there is a combo piece in hand right now. We know that the answer is Ragnaros. Like Sludge Belcher will get destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Ragnaros is more consistent with his line of play, though. Surprised to see Sludge Belcher.
I guess it's just because it's so deep into the deck now. He's drawn 4 or 5 cards, and you definitely assume it's 1 combo piece. And I mean, I guess Thijs was worried about him drawing a combo piece, which is exactly the case, and now he has 1 Savage Roar. So he's getting very close.
Yeah, it's also the fact that right now Thijs on one side is a lot more desperate, but 2, as far as he's concerned, the card in the Druid's hand could be anything.
Alright, well there's not a choice now, and Ragnaros needs to snipe this Black Knight here.
Yep.
Or does it really matter? No, he's taking so much damage, the combo would have killed him anyways. But still, sniping the Black Knight would take at least 1 possibility away.
Ooh. Yeah, now I think, yeah, Drew the Claw is like lethal easily. And just like another creature is probably easy lethal. You got 5 damage this turn, so you basically put a dent of 3 minus the hero power, that's 9. So you die to the board if you're the warrior right now.
Yeah, warrior needs Alex Straza or some kind of big impact minion like that.
There we go. Shield block.
Shield block. Does he have another Shield Slam in his deck?
I believe he's gonna die here. 12, 13. Yeah.
Unless Ragnaros snipes something.
Yeah, Ragnaros has to snipe something, or else it's gonna be the last turn for Thijs.
Either target would be good, but preferably a Spectral Knight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Wow.
And Thijs doesn't have a Brawl anymore, he's already used it.
Yeah.
Dealing with that many creatures at the same time is basically impossible.
Second Whirlwind of some sort?
Can't play big game here, because it kills off your own Ragnaros.
So awkward. Needs to hit Scenarios here, right? Or else, oh, he's dead either way because of Saboteur.
2, 6, 6, 12, 13. Yeah, he is dead regardless of the outcome here. And yeah, basically our predictions held true. I mean, the mage gets countered by the warrior gets countered by the druid. And if you're the first to initiate the cycle, you're in a really good spot. And Thijs was second, unfortunately. Now he's got to come up to an answer to the druid of Pini. And what's he got? He's only got mage. Mage versus druid?
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
It can work. It can
work, but then he's got to beat the warrior with his mage as well, which we saw was not a very working situation. So I think that's really going to be the bigger bump.
Yeah, I think so too. Pretty tightly contested series, but it's been panning out the way we expected. We're still waiting for our first upset, though. Maybe it can happen. We'll find out right after this quick break, guys.
Guys, we're getting right into the game here. Pini is the one who's up a game here. He's 2 to Thijs's 1 win. Now, what do you think of this matchup here? The mech mage, probably very similar to what we've seen so far in the tournament against the very traditional druid. I really feel like the mage might get a little bit out of control. I mean, we saw the first match end that way, though it was a pretty close one in Pini's favor, but I don't know. I still feel that the mage has a little bit of an edge. Not a big one, but I feel the mechs are just annoying enough that the druid can't remove them efficiently while applying pressure himself.
Yeah, especially with a start like this. I guess it is more of the slower variant because he does have duplicates in his deck, right? As far as we recall. But you know, when Druid's taking the initiative like this to answer whatever you put out, that's not really a good feeling. I guess still it's okay though, as long as he's able to stabilize and not let Druid start sneaking a lot of damage points. Also pretty big that Pini has a pretty good curve too. The wild growth will be able to accelerate to pretty much anything he wants to play into, and then he'll be able to.
It does make the innervate pretty useless though.
Yeah, I guess he could innervate Ancient of Lore at worst next turn. Not really complaining too much.
I think it's just going to be a Shredder hero
Yeah,
power.
yeah. So then from here, it's like the same concept as if you face off against like traditionally it's like facing off against Zoo, but this deck is very different. I'm not exactly sure how the Secrets Mage really interacts with Druid that much because it's still very foreign. I remember Lothar was practicing with his group of friends, like primarily the German team Lucky Draw, and he was very hyped about it. He says he thinks it's so good against most of the mid-range, especially the controller type of decks. Because, you know, if you ever get Mirror Entity or even Counterspell, it denies so much of what they want to do.
I'm still not a very big fan of counterspells, just with all the spare parts going around these days.
Right? It feels like it's so bad sometimes where they just like, well, I didn't want to steal this minion.
Maybe it's
anyway.
so bad that, you know, it's so good, like they never expect it.
I guess it's just you're so far ahead of the meta in that department.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, the Ancient Lore is going to draw something. We might see the Innervate make a play here as a result. But it's a pretty even game right now. With the combo in hand, wow, that is so much damage.
Yeah.
You could
I
combo
don't...
next turn for 14 plus 6 plus 4, 24. Not bad.
That's pretty wild.
And freeze something.
Well, I have to imagine that he wants to get rid of this Ancient of Lore this turn, though, and he has Fireball in hand. Do you think, unless he's thinking about dropping Sylvanas to try to impact the board too?
Well, the way that we saw the game play out when it was the reverse for the players, Pini really didn't care about the board of the Druid. He just all the spells aimed at face and went for it. So it's really hard to tell.
I have no time for games.
I guess I really like snowballing the Mana Worm a lot of the times, but Sylvanas also has a really high impact because Druid can't really easily deal with it unless they have Keeper the Grove.
I think it's time, man. Innervate, combo, freeze Sylvanas.
Where shall I strike?
You do lose a little bit of damage by doing it because you can't attack with the face. Oh, Druid the claw here. So I guess he's gonna just push a little bit aggressively and then have combo to finish up. Seems to be like a good middle of the road play, so he's not just going like super duper crazy.
I like super duper crazy. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it'd be more entertaining if he did it the other way around.
Now the Lothab draw, though. Perhaps the other play was going to be a bit more effective.
Yeah, what does it say when the Druid is trying to be aggressive back at you? When the Druid is very clearly supposed to be the control deck here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you bring up a good point. Lothab almost feels like it has to be dropped here. Man, that Armor Smith is also so troll right now because so much of the damage is going away from the Druid phase.
Goes for the creature kill.
Okay.
And wow.
It's a pretty tough turn on how to play this. A lot can go wrong depending on how Thijs chooses to sequence everything. I'm pretty sure you want to eventually just either play out of the combo or just drop Lothab.
I think it's going to be Lothab. I think the Lothab is a bit more appropriate because you almost threaten. Actually, you do threaten lethal, don't you? No.
10,
you need
14,
like a Frostbolt or something, just a little bit more.
20.
Very close.
Yeah, especially if he kills off the Mana Worm here.
Oh, the Mana Worm being dead, that's kind of a bigger deal.
Yep.
Well played.
Oh, well, looks like Pini didn't pay attention to the Sylvanas. He's able to steal the Pilot Shredder.
Pretty good
I guess,
steal.
yeah, the blue hue of the icicles must have distracted Pini, because it's like, well, why would you play the Pirate Shredder if you can just give me the minion? Thanks. Thank you.
Alright, well this is the all-in play from the mage. The one out there was Savage Roar number 2, I believe. But without it being drawn, now he has to use the combo to clear. And I think that means he can never catch up on the board.
Well, he can combo clear and then Innervate Shade. So he has something on the board. But you're right, because there's going to be too much damage coming the opposite way. At least it looks like
I
it.
think this situation is desperate enough to go for the Doomsayer. I think your chance of winning this match is roughly 1%.
Yikes. Well, he's going to Wild Growth to draw. I guess he can Innervate combo if he feels his draw is not good enough. I don't know what he was looking for, though. Really nothing he could have done that spot. I think I would have liked playing the Shade next Mammoth a little bit better. What does he kill off? The Blast Mage for sure. No Chugger is definitely a high priority, but the Pilot Shredder could bring out the Doomsayer.
Just if you kill that, you want to kill it first. Alright, well that removes the most damage off the board, but he's still dead to the Fireball in Thijs' hand.
Yep,
so there it is.
Do it.
That, I'm telling you, man, that was the 1%er. I would have just hit the first one in the Pilot Shredder.
He messed it up for himself, right?
Well, the Pilot Shredder didn't deliver for him, delivered for Thijs in that situation. And the match here is evened out, 2-2. But we have to keep in mind that, you know, we had this kind of like triangle of deck matchups here. This kind of meta game within the match. And right now, Thijs is on the wrong end of it. He's got to beat Warrior, Control Warrior most likely, I believe, with his Mech Mage. And it doesn't seem too likely, but, well, it's very, very, very possible still.
Yeah, of course. I mean, game number 5 it's basically anyone's game. That mage deck is so strong, and it can give a lot of problems to the Warrior, especially if you get like the duplicate and the Sylvanas out. That is one way that you can definitely complicate things. We're going to find out what happens, who is going to the finals of Heroes Cards 4. We'll find out right after this.
We are match point for both players. Yeah, Thijs on the mage, Pini on the warrior. That's right. Man, I feel like this is gonna be like the warrior bloat again.
You think
I feel
so?
like, yeah.
I
Thijs
think
did
it's
drop
different
pretty
this time
well.
around.
What makes it different? You think the owls? The owls is kind of Thijs's flavor for the warrior.
Well, yeah, that's true. The owls are pretty clutch to handle a lot of early aggression. I mean, I always think this mage deck is capable of just like it's one of those decks where if it lines up perfectly, there feels like there's little to nothing you can do. But it really does depend on how Tice is drawing. I think Warrior also is somewhat dependent, but Warrior will also just do Warrior things where it'll just like play keep away. But for the most part, P doesn't have Fire War Axe, but he has one of the next best things. Oh, Unstable Portal is also a card which has blowout potential.
It does, but I mean, we saw what I would consider a pretty big mistake there. We saw him reveal that the summoning portal card is bad, basically.
It's playable, right?
Well, it's playable in that he chose not to play it. So it's playable and doesn't do well against Armor Smith. What's it gonna be?
Stone Tuskboar.
It's bad. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, excellent draw there. Wow.
It was actually strictly worse than Stone Tuskboar.
Yep.
Well, okay. Well, I guess you're right. It's just going to be a stomp for a Warrior. If this continues this trend, Tice needs to pick up the pace quick. But I don't know what he really has in his hand at the moment. Secrets.
Yes, the secret. There we go.
Speak to me.
I feel most of the time here that's Mirror Entity. You can't just YOLO any other secret at this point in the game without giving up the game.
Well, I guess he's okay with giving it. It still gives him a draw versus his Cruel Taskmaster. You think the Cruel
It's
Taskmaster
kind of like a
would-
bad ooze.
Bad ooze.
Yeah. Get
Or like
rid
a
of that X
Bloodsail
charge,
Corsair.
and
I wonder.
you get a card for it. And instead of trading a card, you just draw another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like a crappy ooze. For 3 mana. Well, here...
What's stopping Tice from double loading the mechs?
I think the Mech Warper... Just... You want to deny that extra card off the Acolyte.
True. Not gonna happen though, because Death Spite here
Oh,
can almost
cow.
directly destroy it. What a hand from Pini. I don't think there's anything Tice can really do here. Because the
No.
Loatheb gets challenged now too. Surely it's not a wait till Flame Strike turn, is it? Or scenario.
The funniest thing about this is that because it's Mirror Entity, you can copy the Cruel Task, and now he just has a target for his axe. Oh my god.
Yep, and he can draw a double off the Acolyte.
Yep. 2 Acolyte, 2 draws. It's so much armor.
It's 4 armor.
Oh, he decides not to go for the draws. Decides to save the weapon.
Iron Juggernaut. Oh man.
I like that card. I think it's a good card. Like if the opponent eventually draws the mine, it's excellent.
Yeah, it's fine if it works out the way you want it to, but I haven't ever even seen it work. I've seen a couple games in it, and every time it's been played, the mine never shows up. And there was like 6 cards remaining too in the deck. It just
Really?
like it was like it had to be like the second or third to last card.
I've never played it and not had the mine go.
Oh wow.
I mean, I played maybe 10 Warrior games so far.
Sure. Well, you also don't you increase the chances with Panda and stuff, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
I never actually got the Panda off though.
Oh, okay.
It's really hard to Panda a 6 mana creature and a Warrior. Usually, you just Recombobulator it. That was in there too. Yep. It was a fun Warrior deck.
Well, I'm not really sensing the game lasting much longer here, because there's nothing really that Tice can do to start getting back momentum. Warriors already climbed up to such a high health pool.
Yeah,
and he's going to
weapon,
start
board
slamming down his
control,
legendaries.
ridiculous hand. There's
Oh.
everything going to the Warriors' favor.
Is he actually dead because of Gromosh next to him?
Yeah. You can't stop it. Fireball's 1 mana too much.
Yep.
Yeah, that is it.
So, yeah, wow. What a quick
Pini will
game.
advance.
That was a smackdown if I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm. So, Pini, a little bit of an underdog, does advance to our grand final. Our grand final is not going to be the next matchup. We still have to find out who he's going to be playing against. It's going to be either Hosty or Faramir, who will face off in the second semifinal round. And is your money on your bro here? You going for Faramir for the win?
Both these guys are my bros, but yeah, I'm gonna put my money here on Faramir. I think he wants it, and I think we're gonna see like an underdog final, so to speak. That's what I'm gonna go for. Who are you pulling?
All right. Well, just going by yesterday's matches, Hosty had the most dominant showing against Lothar, and I think Faramir was the least dominant winner. I think he went 3-2, and he had quite a few misplays himself, but he won because Forsen played a lot worse, I guess, at least in the last game. So that's always good, but I mean, I'm going to pick Hosty just on what I've seen so far in the tournament, and I think that's statistically appropriate. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Hosty played really well. He also just 4-0'd 6-0 with his rogue deck and won the series 4-2. So he's definitely looking pretty sharp at the moment. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a few minutes to get set for our second semifinals. Don't go anywhere, guys. Heroes of Cards number 4 continues after a few minutes break. Be back soon.